feels like I have to address this in virtually every Call to Hate episode at this point, but overrated is the term that's often chucked around to describe the MCU, because people are just so incompetent at telling you what they liked or disliked about these films. It's just always a case of, oh, people like them more than I do, therefore I have to dislike them. There's nothing at all wrong with looking at a film like Black Panther, for example, and saying I think the CG looks kinda bad and very overdone in places, but if your only argument is, oh well, it won 3 Oscars, therefore the film is automatically of less quality because people are hyping it up too much, how is anyone supposed to combat that? There's no discussion or debate to be had there. And more importantly, why are you taking the Oscars seriously in the first place? It reminds me a lot of Captain Marvel, and how a lot of people can't seem to separate the actual film itself from Brie Larson's comments, which I ain't touching with a 10-foot pole even if I was wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. But overall, just separate the event from the film. You can have critiques on both sides, but they are 2 different entities, so you can't use them against each other. Otherwise your critiques just feel empty.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is overrated.
Hey, would you just look at that? So this video by Vox was made a little while back, and it's pretty terrible. There are some genuinely talented people working behind the channel, and I can especially appreciate the amount of dedicated hours the editors seem to pour into each project. But Vox in general seems to be more of a kind of create great content later, concentrate on getting the clicks first kind of company.
So why is this not just a steaming pile of clickbait?
Oh, but it is. So let's break this down point by point.
Hear me out. So far there have been 20 of these movies, and Uber producer Kevin Feige says there will be at least 20 more in the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, within the next 10 years. Seriously, half of these people could disappear, and it would still be 148 too many characters.
This is the thing I despise most about this video, is that Phil just kind of makes a bunch of points and doesn't really bother to expand on any of them. Like, why is this too many characters? How do you determine when a film has too many characters within it? I shouldn't have to be asking myself these questions and trying to understand your points. You should be the one explaining them to me, because I don't agree with it at all. I think the
Russo brothers here
did a fantastic job with both Infinity War and Civil War. The characters all have arcs, challenges to overcome, and there are actual stakes. But of course, I can't counter my opinion with yours because you haven't even told us what yours actually is yet.
When we asked Vox's audience for things they think are overrated, Marvel and DC's movies came up again and again.
Well, your main audience isn't exactly the brightest then.
When you look at the history of fictional universes, and at the MCU in particular, it's possible to understand how it could be fixed.
And then this video never really goes on to explain how. I'm not going to talk about the next portion because all it is just a 5-minute ramble giving very unnecessary backstory to radio comics and unrelated TV shows, just to make the point that crossovers can make money, but it may also make your piece of media quite convoluted as well. You could have just said that and then expand on why that links to the MCU, but okay, whatever.
Iron Man kicked off the MCU in 2008. The universe exposition dump didn't happen until after the credits.
Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe.
Ant-Man required a weak excuse right in the middle of the movie.
I think our first move should be calling the Avengers.
I mean, the dialogue can be interpreted as quite heavy-handed and is obviously trying to hint at many future sequels, but at least it makes sense in universe for them to be saying this. I would much rather a scene like this than no context at all by the time the Avengers came out.
The MCU is like our own, except for the crossovers. You can test it with the characters. Add Aquaman to that poster. If you didn't know DC owned him, would anyone notice? The MCU has no rules beyond corporate ownership. It's a superhero hodgepodge.
Phil really tries to hammer home this point, and I'm not quite sure why. I would have thought the fact that this series has no rules is a good thing. It's a fictional universe which can go in any direction it wants to. Why is that bad at all? Like, I can't think of a single reason how that's a negative thing. That's all positive for me. Like, it means that you can now have like a small scale story set in New York and then a big large attack in outer space somewhere. Like, that's the beauty of the MCU, is that there's so many different stories that can be told within it. Phil then goes on to compare it to the X-Men universe. Briefly explains why those films are good, which they actually are, but then goes on to take a jab at why it's so much better than the MCU.
If you, little old you, were in a movie, which universe would change you? In X-Men, you'd have to decide where you fell in a decades-long battle. Do you side with mutants or humans? In the MCU, you'd be like this kid in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Your big decision would be to buy some merch.
I'm okay.
Or I could just choose to enjoy both of the filmmaking aspects. Like, Logan is brilliant and so is Infinity War, but I enjoy them both for completely different reasons. I think there's merits to be found on both sides, and either can change you depending on what you personally connect with. Cue the sad piano music.
It was a world that anybody could imagine themselves in. But until that experimentation transforms the movies, the MCU is just a business strategy. The universe is still in development.
Every single piece of media ever created has to have some kind of balance between being a product and being a passion project. This video completely failed to explain why the MCU is 100% a corporate entity. And because this video has failed to do so, that's what just makes me believe that this was made for money. Because any publicity is good publicity. Although, to be fair, the piano music in the background trick really does work, doesn't it? Oh no, the MCU. It's falling apart. I can't handle it. James Gunn, things just haven't been the same without you, man. Just not the same anymore, and it never will be. What's this? He's actually back, woo! I guess it was kind of cool to hate James Gunn at one stage, so let's just talk about this for a second. I thought him getting fired from Disney for making jokes back in like the 1920s was just ridiculous. But to the people that brought these old tweets to life again, and those who published these articles, I just want to say, good job, because as soon as he got fired from working on Marvel movies, he gets hired to start working on DC movies, and now of course he's been rehired by Disney. So what you've essentially done is just doubled his income. Great job guys, great job. So the Suicide Squad reboot might actually be good this time, with him of course working on it, and then we've got Guardians 3 to look forward to in the future too. Just gets better from here folks, just gets better.